My name is Dino Mataloni from the Ask Dino Show, and I'm really privileged to sit with these guys. The amount of history is mind-boggling, and I'm going to introduce you to them now, okay? Over to my left, your right, we have Marcos Reyes, Bob Luna, Mike Panera, Jerry Salas, Greg Albin, and John Avila. Now check this out. Collectively, they have played with Paul McCartney, Patrick Moraz, Alice Cooper, Oingo Boingo, Paul Simon, Blues Image, Alanis Morissette, Iron Butterfly, Santana, War, El Chicano, Los Lobos, Reba McEntire, Mitch Mitchell, and the great Jimi Hendrix. That is fantastic. Now, the leader of the group, the man that kind of put it together, is to my left here, Mike Panera. Now, Mike, tell us why these 6 guys. Why did you pick these 6 guys?
Actually, Dino, Greg Albin picked the 6 guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of their work. I never dreamed that we would be in a band together. But I went to Greg and I said, we should go out there and do some songs with people that are known. Mm-hmm. So we've been out with like Denny Lane from Moody Blues and Paul McCartney and Joey Mullen from Badfinger. I mean, you name it. We've been out there with so many guys. But it never felt like a band. Mm-hmm. This feels like a band.
Yeah.
Very cohesive.
It's like, it's funny when you have chemistry. I mean, I always say that chemistry is the most important thing. You guys not only are great players that have done a million things, but the chemistry between you guys is mind-boggling. Now, I was fortunate enough to play with you back in, 10 years ago at the House of Blues. Mm-hmm. And you did your song, Ride Captain Ride, and we also did the other song that you're one of the songs that you play with in one of the bands, Inagata Davida. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, it's in the show tonight. You guys will be seeing that. What is it about those songs? I mean, there's a million hits, but it's been 5 decades. What is it about those songs that has been able to sustain all these years?
Oh, the payola. No, just kidding. No, actually, it's Ride Captain Ride struck a nerve in 1970 when it came out. Mm-hmm. And, it's based on fiction, total fiction. Mm-hmm. But I later found out with the Pentagon calling my manager that somehow I had stumbled onto a real story called the USS Pueblo that sailed out of San Francisco with 73 men, was captured by a North Korea destroyer, and taken to Korea. And all my lyrics are about that. I had no idea.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And not too many people know this. It's kind of a scoop here for you.
Right.
But that was pretty weird, that people would say, "Hey, man, I know what that song's about." I said, "Well, then tell me." And I meet guys from the USS Pueblo, and they're absolutely
know
certain
exactly
that
what
I
it is.
wrote that for them.
Wow, fantastic. Now, Jerry Salas over here. Jerry, you are a Vietnam vet.
Correct.
Thank you for your service. You came back from Vietnam and you joined or started with, did you join El Chicano or did you start it, or tell us about that scenario?
Actually, I joined them. They had already done 3 albums. They had Viva Tirada as a big hit record, and then they did Brown Eyed Girl. And I joined and did the 4th album to the next 5 or 6 albums. But they had already established themselves. Mm-hmm. Well, when I was in Vietnam, they were hitting big time, with, So when I got out, they were doing really well with Brown Eyed Girl.
Did you hear any of the music while you were over there? Was there any music playing while you were there?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was in the bush for 5 months, but then they put me in special services, so music might have saved my life, because the last 3 or 4 months I was there, I sang 1 hour a day. They flew me all over Vietnam. I just entertained the troops.
Wow.
So that was a good ending to my...
So what was the amount of time, the length of time that you were with El Chicano? And you're still playing with them, correct?
Yeah, I rejoined. They gave me a call in 2004, I guess it was, and we started hitting the road again, doing great shows, and we're having a really good time. Looking forward to this year. We hooked up with Live Nation this year, and got a bunch of shows already on the horizon. So I'm pretty.
It's amazing how the young kids really they're really hungry to see the guys that really played the stuff.
Yeah.
Really the main guys, the actual guys that really played the stuff, not the tribute bands. Even though there's a big market for tribute bands, they want to see the real players, and it's really pretty crazy to see the response. My daughter's 27 years old, and she knows all the bands that you guys have played in. She knows who they are. You know what I mean? And she knows the lyrics and the words and everything. Now, Greg, I want to switch over to you now. Now, you're a fantastic drummer. You play with Patrick Moraz, who was with Yes and Moody Blues, and you just did a project called Map, right?
Right.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Map.
Well, that was a collaboration between myself and Patrick Moraz, and he named it Map, Moraz Alban Project. And basically, Patrick wrote all the music, and it was a fantastic experience.
Now, Patrick's a very, very energetic guy. He's like a genius. He's like a savant genius.
He's definitely a genius.
So what is it like to be able to? Because it was just you and him, and then you brought some other players in, correct?
Right. We brought John in.
Right.
That's
John.
right. Yeah, John got it.
Yeah, and John's always my first choice for bass. We had Lenny Castro on percussion, and we had some other players. Matt Malley from Counting Crows.
Wow.
And
You had some heavyweights.
Patrick Perrier from Switzerland, who's a virtuoso bass player from Switzerland, and we had Dave Van Such on sax, and he's a virtuoso from Las Vegas. He's an unbelievable sax player.
Yeah, I played with Dave. Dave's a great player. Good guy too.
Unbelievable.
Yes. So what? Mike said that you kind of picked these guys. Tell us about how you cherry picked these guys.
Well, way back in the day, I played with Jerry and John, and we go way back.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they've always been my very best friends, and they're great players. So whenever it came to anybody in mind, they were always my first choices. And Bob Luna, same thing. I've known Bob forever, and we played in a lot of bands together. And it's just the talent. Whenever I think about the best guys I can find for the band, and then Jerry said, we should check out Marcos Reyes. He hits really hard. And I went, okay, let's get Marcos.
Yeah.
And tonight's the first time we played, and he's just a monster. I love your playing. It's great.
Likewise.
All right.
Likewise.
Now, switching, we talked about John. Now, John Avila, who's a bass player for the very, very famous Oingo Boingo. Were you one of the original members? You were the original member.
I joined Dead Man's Party.
Dead Man's Party?
Yeah, which is like their third album.
Okay.
And I played with them to the end after that.
Okay. And how many years was that?
That was from like 84 to 95.
95.
And then Johnny Vatos, Hernandez,
Right.
Steve Bartek, Sam Phipps, the original members. Those guys have been there since day one. We still go out and tour as Oingo Boingo Dance Party.
Okay.
And we go out and play gigs all over the country, and
Right.
every night's a sold-out show everywhere we play, and it's always a lot of fun. And we do, we have, I don't know, so many gigs a year that we do, but it's always fun.
Now, songs like Only a Lad and obviously Dead Man's Party, and can you name a couple other ones that people go crazy over?
Stay, Weird Science.
Weird Science. Yeah, Weird Science.
Weird Science was huge.
Gray Matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gray Matter. They're just like recently we just did a show in December, and we did the whole album Dark at the End of the Tunnel from beginning to end, and that was like revisiting an old friend. When you go back and hear songs you hadn't played in so many years, and to go back and then like, whoa, these are good songs, and it was a lot of fun.
Wow. No, I every time I mean, when Only Lad comes on the radio, boom, I'm just blasting that.
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
and it just kills. Now, what about you? Talk with Danny Elfman anymore? You associate
we
with
still
him?
stay in touch. You know, Danny's busy. We're all busy.
Right, right.
Everybody's doing their thing. But Danny's always great. Christmas time or birthdays, it always seems I see him most every year. So we always stayed in touch, man.
Wow.
When you've been in a band that long,
Right. Well, yeah.
it's like family.
Yeah, it's family.
Seen his kids growing up. He's seen my kids grow up, and you know how that goes.
Right. That's great. Okay, now over to my left here, we got Bob Luna. Now, Bob, keyboard player, you played with like your list is like a mile long, and not only are you a keyboard player, but you're also a musical director too.
Yep.
And I've had the privilege of having that job, and I know how hard it is. And but some of the guys that you work with, We're talking, Paul McCartney, Paul Simon, Reba McEntire. Can you just for some of the people out there that don't really know, can you just give a little bit of a difference in some of the responsibilities you have
As an MD?
As an MD, not only as a player but as an MD?
Well, first of all, Dina, let me just say that I know you from
Okay.
way back.
Oh, really?
Which you came up to me and you said we hadn't met, but we have.
Oh, we have met.
You're a drummer, right?
Yes, I'm a drummer. Yes.
Yeah, and you have a brother too, I think,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, Chris.
Chris
I know you.
and Jeff.
Yeah. Well, maybe I just
Well,
had
I just haven't seen you in years.
maybe senior moment maybe when I. But that's great though. That's great.
Yeah,
So,
anyway.
so tell us about the.
Well, you gotta take care of everything, all the music. If you have, for the most part, I have to arrange, write out all the charts. Unless like with Dionne Warwick,
Yeah.
I just write the scores out and then give it to the copyists, and they would write everything. But you got to obviously get together with the artists, and you got to, if it's an orchestral situation, you got a whole orchestra you have to worry about, and then at the sound checks, rehearsal, whatever you want to call it, that's your responsibility. Your responsibility. So if something is not going right,
They come
the
to
artist
you.
has come to me.
To you.
They're going to say, okay, well, what's going on? Why is this not
Right.
working?
Right.
Or whatever. So it's a big responsibility.
Can you give us a little bit of a little story, a Paul McCartney story or a Paul Simon story? Anything that you could that behind the scenes thing that might be kind of cool that you can remember?
Well, I'll tell you, with Paul, he's very.
Which Paul now?
Paul McCartney.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because
Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney is kind of very sarcastic.
yeah.
And so, he might say something and you're not sure if that's what he means, what he wants. I can't think of anything offhand, but, he can be very sarcastic. And so you have to double check and
So you don't know if he was actually serious.
yeah, exactly.
So
If he's
it's kinda
serious or he's
like
not.
Lennon-esque kind of thing.
Like kind
Lennon
of a
wasn't,
cheeky,
Yeah.
they're kind of, still playing around.
Right.
That's really a trip.
Yeah.
Paul Simon, he's the nicest person.
Oh, really?
I can't believe how nice he was. Because
Wow.
I had heard, before I worked with him, I had heard about all the stories about how he's not too kind to drummers. Of course, he had Steve Gadd
Right.
as his.
Right. Well,
So-
yeah. He's had some other heavyweights too.
Oh,
but
yeah.
When you have Steve Gadd, it's kind of hard to fit
Exactly.
in those shoes. after
Exactly,
that.
but he was the nicest. He was very nice. I was really surprised. He was
Yeah.
very cool.
So what brought you to these guys? What brought you to Mike and the guys?
With
With these guys here.
Well,
just
I've known Greg for
yeah,
years.
Yeah.
And actually, I had done some what was it? The Bobby Kimball Saving Canine Live. Bobby Kimball
From Toto, right?
From Toto, yeah.
Yeah.
I had done that, and they actually played also the.
Classic rock halls?
We did.
Well, not the classic rock Allstars, but I remember you were on the bill, and I remember, Greg, did you play with? I think
Yeah.
you played with
Yeah.
Mike too. Yeah, I think it was like a couple of them.
Couple of them.
And I remember I think I went up to Mike and said, if you ever need a player, I'm happy to play. I love the music. I love all the classic stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And so when Greg called me, I said, absolutely, I'm
Yep.
ready.
So here you are. You're
Yeah.
on board.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Right before we leave, I got one quick story.
Okay.
We were at the NAMM show. I think it was not last year, the year before. I was talking to John Hernandez, who was the drummer for the Oingo Boingo, and I said, "Is John here at the show?" And he goes, "Well, Greg, I'm not supposed to tell anybody. John said don't tell anybody, but he's playing with Neil Young tonight
Wow.
in Paris." And I said, "Wow, that is so heavy."
I called him that.
That is so
I
heavy.
called him.
He flies to Paris to play a one-nighter with Neil Young. Wow.
Yeah.
It's my bro.
There you go.
And Vatos, if you
was-
talk about sarcastic, Vatos can be
Yeah,
just
it was
as
funny.
just as funny, man. John and I worked together on my album, and I happened to run into Vatos at the NAMM show, and I happened to say that. I said, "Oh yeah, John and I just finished up." And John, you know what he said? He goes, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wow, I should probably send him my resume." How come I didn't get to play on your album? I fell out laughing, man.
Okay, so we're gonna move over here to Marcos Reyes now. Marcos is a percussionist, and Marcos has played with Santana. He's played with War for many years. And
20 years.
And you play with, I mean, a percussionist is kind of like, because I play percussion too, and I get it. It's kind of like the unsung hero of the rhythmic part of a band. That they just, this guy is just playing around with toys and stuff. He's not really, But it's it's a very serious instrument, and I have produced many Latin artists, percussionists, and they are probably the most serious. The percussionists now, they're the most serious cats when it comes to playing and getting a part right. I'm talking about down to the Guido, or if it's not right, they will just get they'll just like keep going with a different guy. It's very serious. So tell us about your start. How you came into it, and who you learned from, who your
Well, I first got inspired or turned on to music through my older brother. May he rest in peace, Isaac. He passed away, but my father had bought him a set of congas, pawn shop, and he started a little garage band, and then he ended up getting married and left the congas behind. And I always wanted to play drums since elementary school, but they were always filled by the time I wanted to play, the drums. They we already have drummers, you can play trumpet. And I go, trumpet.
No.
I play drums.
No.
So that happened from, elementary school all the way through high school. So in high school, they had already, there's no way I could get in the high school band. And say, but we have an elective class, and you can, join the elective class and music appreciation. And so we got in there, and finally I got to play the congas in there. And then other students in the class, they said, "Hey, let's start our own, band." And we started a band, and that's where I got my start. But, so then back then I used to play along with albums.
Right.
And so my dream has been fulfilled over and over, because all the bands that I used to practice play along with on albums, all the way from Santana, Malo, El Chicano.
Right.
Los Lobos, everybody, it's like, I've eventually became either a member or recorded with them.
Okay, so your heroes, you actually got
I got to meet my heroes, play with my heroes, record with my heroes. And
who was your percussion hero? Who was your guy?
Well, one of the first ones was Chepito.
Chepito?
Of course, from Santana.
Right.
The other one was Andre Baeza from El Chicano. And then because of that Latin rock, it exposed me to Latin jazz and salsa. So then Armando Peraza, Mongo Santa Maria, Francisco Avella, and
Francisco,
the Escobitos.
The Escobitos.
They all became,
right.
I was inspired by them too to continue.
Wow.
I eventually played with them as well.
Right. So what is another one of your gigs that you do a lot? Are you still playing with War now?
I'm still with War, yeah.
Yeah.
This year makes 20 years that I've been a member of the
20
band.
years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Whew. Well, anyway, I just want to say that I'm privileged to sit with these guys, and I hope you're enjoying this video, this concert, and go see them live, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing like the real thing. Like Marvin Gaye used to say, there's nothing like the real thing, and these guys are the real thing. Anyway, this is Dino Mataloni, the Ask Dino Show, and thank you for watching.